Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It is Thursday. I would say that we're not playing for ages, but we're playing in about 48 hours against Leeds United. Now, I'm going to have a Leeds United preview, by the way, tomorrow. It will be a video, and that will be with Just Joe from Leeds United. So that should be very, very interesting. But Tottenham Hotspur so far, 10 games played, one lost in 90 minutes, one penalty shootout defeat, and then 8 games where we have not lost. The fan base feels like, honestly, I'm truly, truly shocked at the impatience of a huge portion of our fan base. I looked at it last night and said, okay, Spurs are 4th in the Premier League. We're 9th out of 36. We're 9th out of 36 in the Champions League so far, with a couple of games coming up where we could again take 4 to 6 points. And the meltdown that is ensuing feels just a bit. It feels like it's staged. I'll be honest. It feels like it's staged. I can tell anyone I stream with that liked the previous setup, they can't stop knocking it for whatever it is. If we win, it's because the other team are rubbish. If we lose or draw, it's because Frank is rubbish. And I just feel like it's just got a little bit too crazy. Like nothing bad has happened this season. Are the performances amazing? No, they're not. Was anyone expecting them to be amazing? I am someone that looks at the players. I look at the players of any club and I think, what are you expecting? For example, is anyone expecting Burnley to play really good football? Is anyone expecting these teams to have play tiki-taka, lots of passing and movement? No, they do what they need to do. And I look at the Spurs team and I feel the same, not the same as Burnley, but I look at the Spurs team and I think this team isn't a team that's been put together over the years to really control games from back to front. This is a team that has been put together quite poorly. This is a team that needs a couple of years of surgery, which started this summer, which will move on to the next summer. And this is a team that needs a bit of time with a coach to just bed in. And I feel what everyone's seeing at the moment straight away is, oh my God, we're rubbish. We should be attacking more and blah, blah, blah. Cool. Well, what did we see last year? We attacked loads and we conceded a shed load of goals. I just think that patience is a huge virtue. I get it. At Spurs, we're always being asked for patience. But this is what you get when you bring in a coach. You have to be patient. I've got people messaging me saying, by now, though, shouldn't so-and-so be looking better under Frank? And you're like, he's had 10 games. What is it that do people think that in 10 games he turns a player from this to this? Like, it's madness. It's all very, very dramatic and hyperbolic. Yes, critique the games. Yes, critique the substitutions. Yes, critique the formations and the team selections. But genuinely, I feel like what I'm seeing online, I would think that Tottenham are bottom of the table. We are sitting in the top 4 now. Yes, it's early days, and I'm not saying we're going to be top 4. I don't think we will finish top 4 this season. I don't think the squad is good enough to finish top 4. I've said that over and over and over again. By definition, that means you are going to lose games of football. But when we lose games of football, we've lost one, but when we lose or draw, the meltdown is going crazy. You've also got to remember that we're playing twice a week, right? Without a squad capable of playing twice a week. Now, last year, we were playing twice a week and losing every Premier League game because we played twice a week. This year, we're not losing games. That's a positive step in the right direction. But I feel like no one can have that calm conversation at this level. Everything needs to be, and it just feels a little bit silly. It feels just a tad silly. I've got people coming on my show going, well, that's 4 games he's got wrong. And you're like, sorry, did you think we were going to rock up and get every team selection right and win every single game? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I saw a good comment earlier. Let me see if I can find it. So big up to all of you. See again, like, look, the issue is the performances aren't good. Sure, but doesn't that take time? You had a year, you had a year to 18 months of the performances not being good and losing every week. Right. When you're saying you can see a heavy defeat coming, sure, but it hasn't come yet, has it? We haven't had a heavy defeat. I saw a good comment. I think this is absolutely. Oh, hang on, I've got my wrong screen on there. There we go. I think this is absolutely the nail on the head for me from Dan. Big up to you, Dan. I think I think this is the nail on the head. He said only Spurs fans could spend last season saying give the manager time, whilst racking up 22 defeats, but have a meltdown 3 months into the new manager's reign, who has lost one game. And when you actually look at it, Dan, he's only had 6 weeks of playing. Do you know what I mean? We've played in 6 weeks. The season starts mid-August. It's not even 3 months, but yeah, 3 months of him being on the training ground as well. And I think this sums it up. I think this sums it up. You know, all last year, that the same people I'm seeing that, oh, he should have had, the last manager should have had more time. Fine. Oh, well, we're losing games because we're in Europe every week. Fine. Let's go with those two excuses. But then this season, the new manager who's picked up the last season mess is now not allowed any time to change and to adapt and to mold. You've got some very intelligent people in this fan base as well that know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. I'm seeing people calling Frank a fraud. Somebody messaged me last night. I'll call it out. Someone called Super Spinky, who always just says whatever I say, he says the opposite. Frank is on fraud watch. What? Frank is on fraud watch. We've taken 4 points from 6 in the Champions League. Right? Let me let you know, out of 36 teams, only 6 teams have bettered that. Only 6 teams out of 36 have bettered that in the Champions League. But Frank is on fraud watch. Only 3 teams have got more points than us in the Premier League. But Frank is on fraud watch. Only 2 teams have conceded less than us in the Premier League. But Frank is on fraud watch. Only 2 teams have scored more goals than us. 3 teams have scored more goals than us in the Premier League, but Frank is on fraud watch. Like, at what point do people, big up Dan, at what point do people take that little step back and think, hang on, this is ridiculous. I get it in the heat of the moment of the game. I get it. But look how many people in my chat, Frank out because we draw a game. And then an hour later, no, I was just being hyperbolic. Well, like, how does your brain go? Once I'm a manager out, I'm a manager out. I don't flip from game to game of, oh, we won today, yeah, I lost today, out. And I just feel like we've turned into a fan base that think we're a lot better than we are. And winning the Europa League, of course, was amazing. Like, it was so needed more than anything. It was a massive relief. Fair play to Ange for getting that over the line. He'll always have a place, won't he, at Spurs because of that. But it's made a lot of other people think that there weren't any problems at Tottenham Hotspur. And many of us for 18 months. For 18 months, Spurs accumulated something like the 3rd lowest amount of points in the Premier League over 18 months. Let that sink in. And yet a new manager comes in. We're not losing games. Yeah, have we ridden our luck? Of course we've ridden our luck. But doesn't everyone ride their luck? Isn't that part of building? Isn't that part of football? Now it's being used as a bad thing. Oh, but that was lucky. Okay, but lucky is lucky, right? You're allowed to be lucky. And Dan, I'll be honest, mate. I wish it was kids. Dan, honestly, I wish it was kids. I'm seeing grown men. Look at some of the grown men I stream with. That the other day, you would truly believe that Thomas Frank has played 6, lost 6 in the Premier League, the way these people talk. It's not sustainable. Right? But we're not losing games. Now, one of 2 things is going to happen tomorrow. Saturday, I can tell you. If Spurs win, it will be, oh, but it's just Leeds. They got promoted. If Spurs lose, it will be, there you go. This is awful. But when you look across the Premier League, who is doing well? Who's doing well in the Premier League? Because if we're truly saying that we are terrible, there's 16 teams below us. And last year, in a strange coincidence, there were 16 teams above us. Now, this isn't going to just stay like that. We're going to have times where we drop down to 7th or 8th or 9th. We're going to have times where we go back up to 4th or 5th. This is what it's going to be on. But at what point do we all sort of put on our mature pants, so to speak, and say, can we've got a coach in and we don't want to give him any time. It's funny, anything this man tries is wrong. But people want to coach. For coaches to do things, they need to try things. Right? You can have a manager that does one thing. You can have Ruben Amorim that does one thing. Sure. But what happens? You get the same thing every week. Nothing gets tried. Nothing gets trialed. This manager goes, right, I'm going to try this today. Oh my God, he should have done X, Y, Z. Okay, cool. Then he tries that the next game, but he should have done X, Y, Z. The problem is, I think we don't have an 11. That's the biggest problem, I think, first and foremost, is we don't have a set 11. I mean, there's a lot of questions. Who should be the centre mids? Who should be the striker? Who should be the left winger? There's a lot of questions to be asked. So Chelsea win titles almost every season, so my logic doesn't work. Did I mention Chelsea? Hang on, I'm just trying to think. Did I mention Chelsea? Did I mention Chelsea? Anybody? I'm not sure. I don't understand what this alludes to. Chelsea win titles every year. Well, they're not. So your logic don't work. I don't know what that means. I'll be honest. I don't know what that means. Big up to Jim. How you doing, Jimbo? Hope you're well, my man. Said, morning, Savva. You're spot on. Frank has just walked in the door, for God's sake. It's a joke how some fans... Mate, Jim, if Spurs had played 6, lost 6, and lost both Champions League games, I would get it. Right? But we've got a lot of people that are just being super, super hyperbolic about everything. You know, it's almost like they are willing us to do badly. It's almost as though they're saying lose to Leeds because then it shows he's done a bad job. Jim, we've got a manager who himself said this is going to take time. This is going to take time. Everybody who listen. The problem is, I get it that the fan base is so split. There's a lot of people that liked the last regime, and a lot of people that didn't, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the people that didn't like the last regime are saying, give it patience, give it time. You know, we needed a coach. We needed a manager that's going to come in and steady the ship, right? The people that did like the last regime are jumping on every single moment. It's certain people, the moment we don't do well, they spring into life. Yeah, look at this. But when we don't lose games, when we win games, no, there's no praise, and it's just kind of like, okay, so we're not being balanced here. Dominic said, why do football fans always reminisce about the old manager when the new one drops points or does something wrong? Listen, and this is the best thing for me, right? This is the best thing for me, right? Or the worst, depending on which way you look at it. The revisionism. So right now, when we don't win a game, loads of people just go straight back to talking about Ange, and but Ange, this, that, the other. And it's like, okay, well, let's just ignore all the bad things. We just say the good things. I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. Too many football fans don't understand what goes on behind the scenes when a coach joins a football club. He wants to try things. He needs to try players. He wants to see who works where. Now, we as football fans hate that player. Don't get me wrong. There are players I do not want to see in this team. But the manager's got to give players a go to say, can he play my way? If not, they're going to leave in the next window or the summer and yada, yada, yada. And Dave, when you're saying the performance was worrying, of course, I don't think the performance was great with the players out there. I think what was anyone expecting? But look, here's someone who's very, very harsh on the new manager already. Here he is, James Flower. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm all right. All right. I'm gearing up for a 2-week international break again. It's
Stressful.
it's the equivalent in your world of suddenly no one needing water for 2 weeks.
I don't quite like that, to be honest.
It's hard work, man. Listen, England and internationals, it is what it is. So James, we're currently sitting 9th in the Champions League. We're just outside the automatics, and we're 4th in the league. It's all right, isn't it? It's all right. We're okay.
So, first of all, I'd say, like, I was one of the people that criticised the team selections for 4 games. Look, I understand it's going to happen, but if I don't criticise, then it's unfair for me to praise in the same sense, because I've also praised. I am, and I know you wasn't aiming at me earlier, but I do praise
I'm
as
aiming
when
at everyone, mate.
Yeah,
Everyone.
yeah. But I'm one of the ones that actually gives credit where credit's due, as well as criticise. So for me, the one thing I wasn't happy with is I would put Champions League as priority this season. That for me is we're going to do everything we can to qualify, but we're in it now. So for me, the fact that he played Xavi and Polina against Doncaster and then not against Bodo, that for me just doesn't make sense. So that is my main criticism. I would rather him drop him for Bodo and play him Champions League. So
have you seen the comments, though, that he did say yesterday when he was talking about Xavi Simons and how he needs to tread lightly with him and integrate him slowly into playing 90 minutes week in, week out? And don't you think that
I didn't see that, but
I think that kind of gets lost a lot by fans as well, because don't get me wrong, we're all the same. We see a player we like and we go, he has to play. And I get it when they've been in and around the team, like if you've got a Romero and Maddison, there's no, they need time to settle. They're here. They've been here. I think with players like Xavi Simons, I feel like it's the same with Florian Wirtz. I think that we all get excited as a fan base and we praise the signing, and rightly so. And then I think that they're just automatically ready to hit the ground running 90 minutes week in, week out. And maybe, listen, I agree with you. By the way, I'll meet you in the middle. I want to see Xavi in the 10. I don't want to see Xavi on the left. I don't want to see Xavi on the bench. I want to see him play. But I also want to trust that the manager knows how many minutes players can play and the rotation. But I get it. It's frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, I would like to say I'm balanced. I give criticism as well as praise. People that are just slating Xavi straight away and saying there's no talent there or waste of money, that those guys, in my opinion, are just tension seeking. That's the youth of the day trying to kind of be negative for the sake of being negative. Do your research. You can see the guy's class. Same with Wirtz. Look, he's been nothing bar shocking, but the Prem's quicker, it's tougher, it's more physical. There's so many bits and pieces coming onto that. And I know people say about the finances, but it's not his fault, and it does bring pressure. Same with like Archie Gray. For me, 40 million on a young kid brings pressure. I believe that Bergvall was performed more than Gray, probably because he hasn't got any pressure. He come in cheap. It was like, let's see what this kid can do, and he hasn't had that weight of the world. The moment Archie Gray has a bad game or half, everyone goes, I would have rather spent that 40 million elsewhere, which is true. But for me, if you can see a player's good and you've done a bit of research, you're not questioning Xavi's ability. Same with Kudus. Me and you had this same debate about Kudus. We were saying how good he was before he signed, and people goes, but he's this, he had a crap season, look at his numbers. It's not always about numbers. It's about the player's ability, and you can see that Kudus, now everyone's going, what a great signing. But before, they weren't saying that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, I agree with you. Look, I think Xavi Simons, for what it's worth, will be a top player in a Spurs shirt. Does it necessarily happen in his first 2-3 months? I don't think so. But you can see the moments. You see, even when he came on the other night, it's not that he did anything breathtaking, but you could see he wants to get the ball in those pockets of space. He wants to drop his shoulder, go past a man. But I think James Sheffield makes a really good point here. He said there is a bit of amnesia. When Ange came in, most fans seemed to understand that a rebuild was needed. With a bit of luck for 10 games, everything reverted. We still need to rebuild. Now, James, this is interesting because it's as though our fans aren't learning. And what I mean by that is, when the last manager was here, we had a fantastic first 10 games. Like it was truly fantastic, wasn't it? Other than the League Cup defeat to Fulham, he played 10, drew 2, won 8. And I just think people should use that as a bit of a reminder that it's not about the beginning bit. It's not about that, because we saw after that everything went like that. Right now, I know the performances aren't there, James. I can't defend the performances. I'm not going to sit here and go, "Oh, I've been mesmerized," and let me watch that 90 minutes back. But it's not really about August and September. It's about, as we move into the season, what does this manager do? You know, we get a few players back as well. Is there something to that the fans are forgetting? The first 10 under Ange, the first 10 games aren't what matters.
Yeah, I would almost say that it was a rebuild under Ange. This isn't a rebuild. This is like starting from scratch. I don't think there's a rebuild. I don't think there's something that you're building on from. I think we've actually had to put the ground roots in and work our way up, which is why I do give Frank a lot of credit. I didn't think we'd be as high up as we was. I didn't think we would get as many points as we was. I do believe that people are kind of, oh yeah, rebuild. I think when Ange took over from the likes of Conte and that, I think we was a more stable club then than we are now. Mm-hmm. We're going in from 22 defeats. I believe so. The way I would just, I'm not going to compare us to Man City, but I want to kind of compare us to Man City in the respect of, for me, Man City 3 years ago would beat teams before they even turned up with a fear factor. Everyone goes, "Oh, Man City today, we're going to get played off the park." For me now, not saying that we're anywhere near Man City, but now I feel like it's Tottenham, lads. We're going to go there and win. We're going to go there and get some points there. It's Tottenham. I think that we need to build the squad, but almost get a bit of that fear factor. If that makes sense, does that make any sense?
Yeah,
I think teams are coming to White Lane knowing they're going to get points, which is taking them from a 7 to a 10, meaning that we've got to perform at a 10 to get that first victory. Once we start getting those victories under the belt at home, I think the fans will get on board. I think there'll be more kind of uproar. I think there'll be more urgency. And I think naturally, once you get that first 3-4 games in a row at home, I think then you kind of roll into this is the rebuild part. But I think we need to get there before we start building on top of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And listen, I just want to say, like, when I see comments like this, people saying we added Paulinho, Xavi and Kudus in the summer, 3 first-team signings. We did. You've also got to remember that we've lost James Maddison for the season, right? You've lost Sonny, right? Kulu's out for the majority of the season as well. So in essence, we've not strengthened the squad. The squad has not got bigger until we get some players fit. We've not. But again, it's people like this, for me, it's too reactionary. It's all a bit too reactionary. I think that people are forgetting how bad it was last season, James. That's my point. Whilst I don't think the performances have been brilliant, the performances last year were absolutely horrendous and everyone ripped us apart. What we're seeing at the moment is no one's ripping us apart, right? So we're building on, let's have a solid base, right? Yes, the other day, I mean, you could say Paulinho wasn't in the DM, otherwise some of that doesn't happen. And if Romero was at the back, some of that doesn't happen. All of these different things, but I just think it needs time, James. I genuinely think it needs time. And the problem we're going to have this year is every time we don't win a game, this is going to be a witch hunt on the mat. Like it's going to be a witch hunt. It doesn't matter if he loses 1 in 5, it'll be, oh, but we should have won that one. And this is my worry. Because then this guy's going to go, and then we're going to bring in another guy, and I just think it's too much.
Circle. Yeah, it's just a vicious circle. For me as well, what you said there about Maddison, if I'm being honest, I think Maddison, for Maddison's standards last season, was shocking. That's not saying I think he was shocking. That's me saying I think that there's 2-3 times the player in Maddison to what he produced last season. And therefore, I don't think people realise how, this is just my opinion, how good James Maddison would be in the 10 role now, or even if we had Xavi there. I think Maddison could be that calm head in the number 8. I think he's got all the attributes and abilities to play that. if you add hyperbolical, if you had Polina, Madison, Xavi, do we lose as many as we've lost, or we have lost? But do we look as bad as we've looked in some games? Is it less dominating on the ball? I don't think so. I think Xavi with Madison will keep the ball for days and allow Kudos to do what he does. I still think we're struggling on the left and striker, but I naturally think that we keep the ball better, we move the ball better, we progress it from Polina to the forwards better. And even though I think Richarlison and Odebertel, whoever's on the left, is rubbish, I think they get better when we're able to keep the ball and find them more.
Yeah, sure, maybe. But by the way, just quickly, people in the chat, the revisionism is bad. Like, we're saying we didn't lose Son. Listen, whatever people thought about Son, and I was one who very much said, and I know definitely James was, it was time for Son to go. But James, there's a difference between letting a player go and not replacing him and just letting the player go. This is what fans, again, there are certain people I'd like the Tottenham Ranger. I would love him to just take a step back before he types on his keyboard. I'm not saying I wanted Son. I don't know how many times you have to do this, James. I didn't want Son. Son for me wasn't the player he used to be. But what we've done is we've let Son go and replaced him with young players we already had that are worse than Son, right? The whole point of moving Son on is that you succession plan and you go and buy another left winger of note. You don't just go, that's like right now going, all right, let's let
well, it's like saying let's sell Richarlison and Solanke and then keep Dane Scarlett. But no, that's not what I'm asking for.
Right. Yeah, let's get rid of Richarlison. Scarlett's going to play for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Son didn't have the physical attributes for me in the Prem anymore. He didn't have the physical attributes anymore. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, he's a finisher," and blah blah blah. Look, I've actually paid attention with some of the goals that he's scoring in the MLS. And if you look, he takes a touch, and you're like, bloody hell! And then he slots it, which is fine. And I'm really happy for him. In the Prem, he was no longer getting those 4, 5, 6 touches before being able to finish. It doesn't work like that. So the fact that I wanted Son out, probably more than anybody, that not at one point did that mean Son's going to go, we're going to keep Odegaard and he's going to be our number one. That's just stupid. I wanted Son to go, but I wanted us to replace him with Adeyemi, a Lookman, a Semenyo. That's what I wanted. You can't kind of dig me out on half of the argument without reading the full story. Does make sense?
Yeah. Agreed. And no matter what people say, like so far, this is a manager that hasn't at any point been able to put out his best 11 ever. So listen, I'm not excusing the performances, but the fact that we're a Philly, let me bring you in here, mate. The fact that we're not losing, right? He's not been able to put out his best 11. We've not seen Mawani. We've not got a fully fit, integrated Xavi Simons. Kulu and Madison are out injured. I don't know, Philly, where the drama is. Genuine at the moment. I'm not worried. There's no drama for me. This is exactly what I expected, which is going to be an up and down season whilst we recover from last year. Is it all a bit too much, Philly?
I'm going to say this now.
Philly, your sound's awful. Philly, your sound is awful.
Can you hear me now?
No, it's crackling. Are you on a phone?
Yeah, I'm on my tablet. Give me a second.
You might need... Yeah, go out and come back in again.
He's got Poundland in there.
Yeah. It was... Yeah, Philly, you're going to need to jump out and come back in, mate. It's absolutely horrendous. I'm just going to kick him from the stream for the minute. Look, yeah. Foot trick. I agree with this. Look, we've got a fully fit defence and have been able to hold on to clean sheets. Listen, I think James, that the manager has come in and realised that actually the weakness that was last year is actually our strength, which is you chuck a DM in front of the back four and we can actually defend. And I think he's building from that. We all know now that the going forward part is desperately what we need to work on.
And I think it's fair to say, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you here, but I was a criticism of Romero and you definitely was last season.
Damn right.
I think it's fair to say that I've seen an improvement in Romero this season. Have you?
Yeah.
So
We're
in that
seeing him
respect,
play as a defender, not
absolutely.
a deep line playmaker that's never in the defence. Yeah, we're seeing him as a
I
defender.
feel absolutely, and I still think that he's having to do quite a lot of that, and not by tactics, by choice, because Pellegrini is going to break stuff up. And then I've said it loads of times. I think Bergvall and Sarr are headless chickens. So what I think Romero is, because Romero has got a good pass in his locker, he's normally the one that steps forward and tries to find the through ball to a Kudos or whoever. And I actually think it makes him a worse player sometimes. But I think he's trying to be the captain and trying to say, right, look, I have to take some responsibility here. Let me see if I can play it. Which is why maybe a bit of a criticism, but I would like to maybe see if you're going to play one of Bergvall and Sarr, maybe an Archie Gray who's probably better on the ball at just being calm than one of those, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Again, James, this is the funny thing about this is these are the sort of things that I've brought up for years, and like definitely in the summer. And when you bring them up, you're told you're negative. When you bring them up, you're told that Rome wasn't built in a day. But the problem is, anybody who understands football can look at this team and go, "We need number 8." Anybody can look and say, "Sorry, Bergvall, Sarr, Bentancur, Gray." They're all, but there's no one there that you go, right, that guy controls a game. That guy is the one guy that sits in midfield and keeps it ticking over. But if I mention it, people go, Bergvall. Right? Yeah, but that's not his game. Like, we're so emotional over the footballers that we have that suggesting that you swap them out for better is looked at as though you're not a real fan. It's absolutely madness. So I think you're bang on. I think you're bang on. If you get somebody in there that can control the game a bit more, maybe some of the headless chickens maybe start looking less headless, or we see that they are just headless chickens, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I believe. I believe football. I mean, I believe football 15, 20 years ago was so more advanced than it is now, because there was players that just wanted to be be an option, whereas now I think everyone wants to go for gold. How many players are there like Rodri now? Michael Carrick, Luka Modric, Cruz. I could list you 15, 30 off the tip of my tongue, and there is not any of them anymore, or definitely not in the Prem. We need a player that just wants to tidy up the play, pass to me, be an option, give go. And if Bergvall does want to run around like a lunatic, that's not so much of a problem when you've got someone who just calm behind him to say, I'll get the ball. You be a headless chicken in the final third, rather than losing it in the first third. And then I think that there's kind of less responsibility for him, if that's the right thing. If there's less responsibility, I think you're allowing him to be more of a headless chicken and learn a little bit. But I feel without Pellegrini and one, we're going to struggle. And to be honest, I was a big fan of Bentancur. I think he's been diabolical the last 2 seasons. I know a lot of people have given him credit's due. I think he's maybe had 3, 4, 5 very good games, and the rest is, if he's not very good, he's awful.
Who's that?
Bentancur.
Oh, look. Let me bring Philly in. Philly, if we look at the midfield, and we're going to move this on to Bentancur's new contract in a minute. Look, I look at Spurs midfield options. Hello, Stanley. Hello, mate. I look at Spurs midfield options, sorry, and I think Paulinho is excellent as the 6. Perfect. Absolutely love him. I then look at in front of that, in the number 8 position, if you will. And I think the problem is, I don't think any of them are terrible, but I also don't think that any of them are amazing. And then what you get, Philly, is you get a lot of who should play there this week. And the fact that fans can't tell you one that should definitely start every week tells you that none of them are that great. You've got Sarr, Gray, Bentancur, and Bergvall. Do any of them stand out for you?
No. And I'm going to say something to you, Savva, which I was trying to say before, but do fans even know a profile of a football player, Savva? Because that's a question I'm going to ask you, yeah? Because last night I was listening to the chat, and I'm thinking, what is someone supposed to do, yeah, with Sarr when he's not that kind of creative midfielder, but fans are thinking he's a creative midfielder. What's he supposed to do with Bergvall when he's not a creative midfielder, yet fans think he's a creative midfielder? And the problem with the players of Bergvall's age is they're still rough diamonds and they're learning. And this is why I don't want to put pressure on them while they're still developing stuff. This is why I said they need to go on loan. I think they're able to learn and develop without any pressure of being in the top flight division, like the Premier League or in the Champions League here, which could actually harm the development if they're actually given a whooping in the game. And this is the problem I had, Savva. This is why in the summer I'm going to sit back. I'm not going to criticise. I'm just going to sit back. This Spurs midfield here lacks decent options. We needed the 8 to pick up the ball from Paulinho and bring the play upfield. Somebody who's got the engine in them, and knows what to do, and then they can initiate the play. But we haven't got that, Savva. And that's a massive gap. And then the left-hand side doesn't do it as well.
Philly, that's my point. I feel like nobody looks at these things, though. What we do as a fan base is we all go, we can't control a game. Yeah, why? Like, ask yourself, why do we not control games? Oh, my God, we got nothing going forward. Why? We've got Odegaards and Richarlisons and Tells and Johnsons, and people are going, should be getting more out of these players. Really? Like, look, it's fine. If you are Burnley, if you are a team that's getting promoted and your front three are Odegaard, Richarlison, well, actually, I wouldn't even wish that front three on them. Odegaard, Richarlison and Johnson. Sure. But I think that everybody's got to understand that if you want to play a certain way, you need a certain profile of footballer. Right. And at the moment, the profile that we've put together over the last 3-4 years is a lot of midfielders that run around, but not a lot of technical competency. And this is the difference. Look at Arsenal. Right now, if you look at Arsenal, whatever we want to say about them, right? Declan Rice is very competent on the football, right? Zubimendi, technically competent on the football, right? So when the ball goes into those two, it doesn't bounce back. When the ball goes into those two, they're able to put their foot on the ball and go, right, what have I got right? What have I got centrally? What have I got left? Do I speed the game up? Do I slow it down? What we've got is lots of people that get the ball. And I know this sounds very childlike from school, but remember it was like, oh, hot potato. Do you remember that? Everyone remember hot potato? It was like, oh, I don't want it. You have it. No, I don't want it. You have it. Players like the Rodris, like the Zubimendis, Enzo Fernandez is good at this at Chelsea as well. They'll just go, even Gomez at Wolves to a lesser extent. Players like that, players like Tielemans, they go, right, I like the ball. Give me the ball. I want the ball. Slow it down. Right, what have I got going on? We're 100 miles per hour. And what happens, Philly, for me, if you use Bergvall as the example, when Bergvall gets it, his first thought is to drive forward every time. And fans associate that with attacking. So we go, oh, he's brilliant. He's getting the team forward. What he's actually doing is driving forward when the rest of the team aren't. And then when the ball bounces back, notice, you saw it the other night against Bodo, the gap in central midfield. Every time Bergvall drove forward and lost the ball, the gap in midfield for someone like Patrick Berg, who is a good technical midfielder, he puts his foot on the ball and goes, right, let's start off another attack. And people don't look at that side of the game, and that's what worries me.
I agree. I also listen. The fact that we've got we're playing every game with 9 men. To be honest, that's how I look. We have no left winger and no striker.
Agreed.
It is genuinely like 9 men for me, and I feel like you never see a Bergvall drive out to the right. If he gets the ball and turns to the right, he always lays it off to Kudos. Again, is Bergvall the right man at the wrong time? Could Bergvall become 10 times a player if he actually had a left winger to find or a striker to find, rather than have to feel like almost what I was saying with Romero? Does he feel like, I have to do this? If I can't, Kudos is marked, then it's just me. Because people are not stupid. Like these are grown men in a working environment. I know when I work with people, I go, this guy's dreadful at his job. They know, they talk, they're human beings. And if Bergvall is turning and going, right, I've got Odegaard or Richarlison, I'll drive. See if I can get the team forward. That might be Huge, huge sort of mental factor.
Yeah, but it means that but James, what it does here, it means that the team is compromised, which is always my argument at the beginning of the season. And it leads into the argument I had last season with round pegs and square holes. And because a player doesn't fit in, a player plays better in another position here, and because we're short in that position, that player is pushed into the wrong position where we don't get the best out of him as a player. Like Abby Simmons is pushed out on the left-hand side. Because we didn't sort out the left-hand issue in the summer, that's where he has to play because we don't have that option on the left-hand side, so we're weak. So the team is compromised and lopsided. This is why Kudus is able to be doubled up on for, because there's no threat on the left-hand side. People think, oh, Johnson scores goals. He offers absolutely nothing in the game whatsoever other than scoring goals. And because he is...
You're very quiet, by the way, Philly. Philly, it's very...
Still crackling as well.
Yeah, Philly, we need to get you a laptop, mate. We need to get you a laptop because your connection it's like you're on the other side of the solar system, let alone the other side of the world. It's
oh, wicked, thanks.
we can't. But the problem is, mate, I can't hear you. I'm having to really listen.
I'll try another day, Savva.
Okay, mate.
Yeah. But give me 2 seconds here. Let me just say one thing to a lovely lady in the chat, Kate Rickman, who's sent me so much love and support, and that is, thank you very much, lovely lady, and sending you a large virtual hug. So thank you very much, and see you guys later.
See you later.
Take care,
this
mate.
isn't Tinder. This isn't Tinder. We're not here matchmaking. Look, James. I mean, you said it there, and I completely agree with you. It is like playing with 9 men. Most games, it's like playing with 9 men. I truly believe that whoever's playing on the left just isn't good enough. And I've got people messaging me overnight going, oh, Savva, you're too harsh on Odegaard. He was good the other night. And genuinely, James, I'm sitting there going, if someone tells me I'm harsh on a player, I always think to myself, right, let's go back and watch, or let's watch that player again the next game and really see if I'm being harsh. I don't know what I've said that's harsh on Odegaard. I've not said he's shit. I just don't know what he does.
Absolutely. I watched the other game with my eldest, who's 12, by the way, and I watched it with him. And he said, I was like, oh, what do you think of this Odegaard? Before I even said anything, he was like, he just gives it away all the time. And it was like, and it was getting to the point where he just passed back. And I was like, what are you doing? My 12-year-old was like, this guy's rubbish. The fact that Sean come on the other day and went, he was our best player or one of our best players that first half. Well, sure, everyone was awful that first. That may have been the worst first half we've had all season. So what we're saying is give him time because he wasn't his usual crap. He was a bit better than his usual crap. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think he was.
I thought he was awful. I genuinely think he's awful. He does one run and everyone goes, whoa. But they're not taking into consideration the 15 runs that fouled before that, or the pass backs. It's like he gets scared. He gets shown up one-on-one and gets scared and turns around.
Yeah, see, the difference is Frank's chewing gum. So obviously this is an Ange fan, I can tell. So the last 4 games under Frank have been worse than Ange's worst performances. No, I've seen Ange concede 6 goals, mate, in games. I've seen teams rip us from limb to limb under Ange. So no, please, it's not. I don't understand how people don't understand this is a results business. Do you think Graham Potter was sacked because of the bad football, or was it because West Ham couldn't win points? Which one do you think it was?
Was Mourinho sacked for winning the league? Or Conte? I mean, I don't think they play bad football, but the narrative is they play bad football. So is Conte and Mourinho sacked for playing bad football, or are they hired for winning the league? It doesn't make sense.
It's absolutely crazy. Look, first and foremost, listen, I've seen you the last few games. I've noticed that you have no football insight to offer us other than Ange Postecoglou. I would love to get to the stage. I'd love to get to the stage where Ange isn't the answer to everything. I would love, like, why can't we just say this manager's gone? He's gone. We've moved him on. We were dreadful. Yes, we won the cup. We had a good cup run. But in general, for 18 months, we were absolutely horrific. I don't know if you know this, James, but for the last 18 months in the Premier League, I believe that only the relegated teams got less points than Tottenham in the last 18 months. Like that's 18 months, mate. So my issue isn't, oh my God, should we have kept the last manager? I think we've got to stop doing that. My issue is we've got to give this manager some time. And I think for everybody's sake, a win against Leeds is really needed to calm everything down going into. See, Tottenham Ranger, this is the difference between me and you. Listen to what I'm saying. The last 18 months. Yes, because the last 18 months was shocking. From November the 2nd or 3rd that he lost his first game to Chelsea? From then till his last game as Spurs manager against Brighton at Spurs.
Oh, yeah, Brian, yeah.
In that 18 month, we were shocking. So you're not listening. Tottenham Ranger, I'm going to ask nicely, you're not listening to anything. You're just coming out with, you're not listening to what I'm saying. So I feel like I shouldn't have unblocked you because you're not. It's really difficult, James, to have a nuanced conversation with these people that don't listen.
So what's to say that Frank isn't going to finish 5th? For him to come out and say that, what's to say that Frank won't finish 5th? Like, and he's kind of making assumptions, going, "Oh, we finished 5th." Well, you don't know what we're going to do. You don't know where we're going to finish. So you're already miserable for the sake of being miserable, rather than judge the season. And we finished 5th playing
once a week. We played once a week for the entire season.
For me,
Tottenham Ranger, I'm going to give you one more chance. Stop doing these accusations of me. For me, I've said I think we're going to finish 6th. If he finishes 5th, fair play to him, right? Because that now gets you Champions League football. But Tottenham Ranger, you've got to take into account, right? In his first season, we played 1 game a week. When you're asking managers to play 2 games a week, everything changes. Everything changes. So just calm down. Listen, the problem is, Tottenham Ranger, we're starting to get to the point now. And James, I'll ask you, we're starting to get to the point where it feels like a lot of these fans aren't actually Spurs fans. They are actually fans of a manager, not of the football club, right? As I've said, I like Thomas Frank, James. But you know what? If Thomas Frank gets sacked tomorrow, right? Thomas Frank gets sacked tomorrow. If he's the manager and he gets sacked, he's the manager and he gets sacked. When he's gone, I won't be going for the next year. Oh my God, but Frank. No, new manager comes in, fresh start. Cool. Show us what you've got. But these people, they don't support Tottenham. He calls himself the Tottenham Ranger. This should say the Ange Ranger, because he's not actually talking about Tottenham. Everything is about Ange. It's not about Tottenham. But
I think you've got to be. I think you've got to be realistic. You've got to have a bit of give and take. So for me, I think we need a number 8. But say, for example, we go out and sign a striker and a left winger, and things didn't improve, or I would then have questions, because I'd say, right, you've got a left winger, striker, right winger. Bentancur's not the worst player in the league, regardless of he's good enough. I expect to start seeing what your team's going to look like, the style, the play, going forward. But to sort of just say that when we're 2 men down, it doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't look. Man City lose Rodri and they look half the team that they are, and that's 1. I'm not saying that we have a Rodri, but Maddison and Kulu, for us, it's massive. I mean, I don't even rate Kulu that much, but I would die to have Kulu in either in the cam or left spot, or even as a false 9 at the minute.
Yeah, look, and look, guys, I know it's not everyone. I just find it just a little bit unbearable. Like, every single time. So, like, you knew the other day if we didn't beat them, it would be, but Ange beat them. It's like, oh my gosh, different game, different scenario, different time of the year, different context, right? And when you're saying standards in the bin, dude, you're advocating a manager that lost 22 league games and finished 17th. I don't know how you can talk to us about standards in the bin. For me at the moment, I look at Tottenham and I think if we finish 6th, I think that's a good year after last year, right? Now, what I think that probably means is if we have a really good January window and can keep everyone fit, James, maybe 5th. If we get a lot of injuries in that, maybe 7th or 8th. But this year, I want to build something, build and grow. Right, for me, right, you're going to get blocked now. Stop with the Frank sexuals thing. Stop, mate. You're now turning into a troll. This is now no longer you being a football fan. Just stop, mate. I'm asking you nicely. I don't want to block people, but please stop this, right? No one's got clown standards.
It makes no sense, because I've come out and criticised Frank for the team selection in the week, so it makes absolutely zero sense.
Exactly.
I think,
Please stop.
Yeah, that's just retarded. That's just something.
Let's be fair, right? Let's be fair. If I had offered this to you in the summer, and I said, look, after 10 games, we're going to have gone through in the League Cup, 4 points from 6 in the Champions League, sitting 9th. We're level with the teams in 7th and 8th, by the way, just on goal difference, we're not. And we're going to be in the top 4 of the Premier League going into a game against Leeds. Most people would have turned around and said, yeah, I'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that. Yeah. That's a good start. Now, I understand the performances. I understand all that. But honestly, we are talking like we are West Ham right now.
The only thing I would have, like I've said to you the other night, the only thing I would have liked different is I feel like we should have 6 points from 6 when it comes to the Champions League. I think we should have beat Bodo. I think we could have put a stronger team out to beat Bodo. I personally would rather have the points on the board now and then rest them later on in the competition, even if that means playing a lesser team against Leeds. That is, for me, that wasn't acceptable, but that's just my opinion on the Champions League.
Yeah, no, of course. And I get it. And listen, I still think, for what it's worth, I still think we'll get out the league stage. Look, I've said I expect Spurs to get out of the league stage, whether it's the top 8 or, let's be fair, to get in that top 8 is going to be tough. There's a lot of top teams across Europe, even if it's through the qualifiers. But how far do we go after that? It's all going to be dependent on who you get. Let's be fair. You could draw Barcelona.
Yeah. This is why, for me, it's important that we beat Bodo, because not only are you gaining extra games in qualifiers, we'll eliminate potentially playing a Barcelona, a Bayern Munich, whoever may finish 8th, 9th, Inter away. For me, that's why this game was so important, and every Champions League game was so important, because I don't want to be A, in a position to have to play qualifiers, and B, in a position where you have to go away to a Bayern Munich because they finished 9th and we finished 15th. That, for me, is not acceptable. You've got your opportunity. Take your opportunity now while you can, rather than panic station in a few months' time.
Yeah, see, I think if we're not going to finish in the top 8, you've got to make sure you finish as high up to the 8 as possible. However, you've got to remember, look how low Man City and PSG finished. Sorry, not Man City. Look how low PSG finished in the league table last year. So imagine you finish 9th and then you're rocking up against a PSG who finished like 23rd or 24th. You'd be gutted, wouldn't you? You'd be gutted. But
yeah,
look,
that's why for me he needed to win that game. That's why for me he needed to win that game. That was, I think we're better than Bodo. I think we've got the next couple of games we're actually better than them. I think you need to be beating the teams that you are better than, and then see where it takes you. I really don't want to finish below the bottom 8, because I think that could, depending on the draw, that could be the end of it. And obviously the amount of money that's in Champions League this season is quite important to get through.
I get it, but let's be fair. There's a lot of teams better than us in Europe. There's a hell of a lot of teams that I would put. I mean, at the moment, look, if we hang on, let's bring that table up. So if we go to football,
our games are Bodo, which in my opinion we should have won. Isn't it Copenhagen? We should win. Frankfurt, we should win. So there's teams that we've beaten before. So for me, as long as that's what I'm saying. As long as you beat the teams you should beat, I think it kind of leaves the rest down. Whatever happens will happen. So if Inter win every game, you can't do nothing about that. City could win every game, you can't do nothing about that. You just need to win the games that you can win and go from there.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you. I mean, look, when you look at the Champions League table out there, I mean, other than Karabag, who have started with 2 wins from 2 very impressive wins, by the way. They are, sorry, I thought someone was look at the teams that we're surrounded by at the top: Bayern, Madrid, PSG, Inter, Arsenal, Dortmund, City, Atletico. There's, the big boys are all at the top already after 2 games. I mean, you could go down and go, okay, Barcelona and Liverpool. Look, Barca, Liverpool, Chelsea, Napoli are not even up there. Juventus, Leverkusen. There's a lot of teams that will probably finish above Spurs, but all we can do is win our own games. And I think we've got a good chance of I think we will probably end somewhere in and around where we are now. I do. I think we'll end in and around where we are now, James. I do. I said before, I think we'll probably have to go through the playoff. But we'll see. I think that a lot of people have looked at the teams we're playing and gone, oh, they're all very easy. I think Monaco away didn't Man City just play Monaco away?
Yeah, they drew 2-2.
Right. You got Monaco away, Frankfurt away. I know we beat them last year, but it's not an easy game away in Europe. You've got PSG away. You've got Dortmund at home. Some
Copenhagen.
Tough game.
But this for me, I would say Dortmund and PSG are the ones here go. If we lost those, it wouldn't surprise me as such. That's why for me, you have to beat Bodos, you have to beat Frankfurt, you have to beat those. Not because they're easy games, because you have to beat those games because the likely chances are you might not win the others. And if you don't win those games and you don't win the others, then you're in trouble with even qualifying.
Mm-hmm. See, what I think we need to do, listen, again, definitely it's got to be a win at home against Copenhagen, and it's got to be a win at home against Slavia, right? If I'm not wrong, they're the right. Dortmund is going to be a tough game. Dortmund have got good players, and they always seem to rock up and turn up in Europe. They seem to be better in Europe than they are league-based. So that's going to be tough.
It's good that we haven't got to go their ground, though. That is like, I know it's going to sound stupid, but it being at our ground or not there, it's almost like you have a 1-0 lead going into it. Because I think when you go away with their fans, mate, they're almost guaranteed to score. They're almost like an extra man with that wall. So I think the fact that we're at home is massive. Dortmund away it's like one of those games. Like for me, Galatasaray at home, I'd expect to batter them. Galatasaray away, you don't want Galatasaray away. It's the same team but different places. I don't even know if that makes sense, but yeah, it's the same with Dortmund for me. At home, we could get the points we need, but away, I would really find it hard to say, yeah, we'll get these points.
Yeah, listen, agreed. And listen, it might be a case, though, that we get a year down the line, James, and we've brought in a top left winger and a top forward and a top number 8, and we look at teams like Dortmund and go, yeah, bring it on. Right now, though, I don't look at teams like that and go, bring them on. I look at teams like that and go, yeah, this is going to be really tough, and we're going to have to be a bit more pragmatic because these teams, we saw it last night. Dortmund scored 3 goals, right? And 2 of them were on the counter-attack. But devastating pace like Adeyemi. You know what I mean? Like, and I know you like Adeyemi. But look, I feel like, by the way, anyone asking what this is, a few people are asking, this is a custom-made shirt. This isn't available to buy or anything like that. It's not from the shops, anything.
With what you said there about not having a fully quality squad, I know it almost puts so much more pressure on the Javis and the Kudoses because if they don't perform, we've lost that game. That's how I personally feel. If Dortmund at home, if Javi doesn't perform and Kudos, or we have a rock solid back 4, we lose that game. So you're almost relying on it. You know, I know you can't compare, but you had Kane and Son. It only ever took one of them to turn up to win that game. Now, I think because we've got so many bang average players and poor players, you need the 2 or 3 good ones have to turn up if you want to beat the big teams.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Chris, Villarreal are not an ordinary team. Villarreal are 3rd in La Liga, playing very well. And again, this is, when you're saying ordinary, aren't Spurs an ordinary team at the moment? Aren't we a team that just finished 17th in our league, Chris, and lost 22 games? So this is when I said to you earlier on, James, about the arrogance that suddenly we're Tottenham, we're in the Champions League. Oh, we're just going to rock up and beat everyone. Villarreal aren't mugs. No. Villarreal are not mugs. Yes, they lost to Juventus last night, but Juventus aren't mugs either. Like, I feel like everyone thinks that this is Poch's team that was in Europe, where we did have a bloody good team and we're just going to rock up. This is a little bit mad. Like, dude, honestly, I'm going to give you one more chance. You're starting to annoy me now. You're spamming in my chat. You've asked me the same question about 8 times. Please stop. Please stop. I'm trying a new thing, James, where I don't block people, but some people make it very difficult to allow them in the chat.
I think people like that are judging Villarreal's and Juventus's and whoever. I would even put Real Madrid in this bracket in this kind of particular argument. Is they are nowhere near the levels they used to be, and I completely agree with that. But neither are we. So you can't say Juventus are rubbish because then they're far from rubbish. Are they the Juventus of 10 years ago? Absolutely not. But I don't mean that they're rubbish, and it also doesn't mean that we're as good as we was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago either. So there has to be a compromise. All right, they're not as good, but we're nowhere near it. Like under Poch, we was a proper football team. We looked like we was going places. Now, like I said, it's not even a rebuild. It's a start from fresh. We are building from scratch. There is no rebuild. There's no foundations. We've got to rip it all up and go completely fresh.
Yeah, the difficulty with it for me is, I get it. I agree with what you just said there, by the way. Are some of these teams what they used to be? No. But we can't just rock up and go, well, we're Spurs. Well, yeah, we're Spurs, but we're playing with Odegaards and Johnsons and Richarlisons and Sars. This isn't Tottenham rocking up with Dele Alli in his prime, Ericsson in his prime, Son, Kane, Dembele, Wanyama, Walker. This isn't that team. And I think people have got to understand that. You don't go in the last 2 years, we lost 34 Premier League games. That's nearly a whole season, James. You don't go from that to we're Champions League. Ta-da!
Agreed.
we're very, very reactionary. Some of these teams will be looking and going, I'm guessing Villarreal will probably be looking at Spurs going, really disappointed we didn't get a point. It's only Spurs. This isn't the Spurs of old. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And that'd be fair.
That's how it works. Look at Liverpool. Liverpool lost to Galatasaray, right? Liverpool have just spent £440 million in one summer. So if we're gonna say, oh, Spurs should be winning this, what about Liverpool? Look at Aston Villa, where they are in the league. Look at Chelsea. We're above them. Look, we're above City. Like no one's playing well. No one's as good as they were.
It's the same story, almost what we said earlier. I don't think people realise. Look, all Spurs fans realise how good Harry Kane is. I actually don't think that any of us, including myself, realise how good Harry Kane was. And then to replace him for someone like Richarlison, it's just suicide. It's literal suicide. You've replaced 2, 3, 4 players for half a player. Like that kind of stuff you can't do. And Son, look, he was on the decline, but he's still a player. So to replace him with Odegaard, it is just suicide. There's no other way to it. You can't kind of go, we should be doing this. Hold on. Look who we've lost and what they did for us at that point of time. To replace them with nothing, what do you expect?
Yeah. No. I completely agree. I think we've got into an era now where people think that you can have one transfer window and everything's changed. Now, you can have that transfer window if you spend £300-400 million. We're not that club, and we didn't do that in the summer. We are a club that we're below the big boys. We are, whichever way we want to look at it, James. We're below the big boys. And we are a club that need to find an identity. I don't mean under Frank. I mean in general. We need to find an identity. We need to find out what we are. And I don't think we're going to find that out until the next couple of windows where we see, have ENIC changed? Forget Levy now. Levy's gone. Forget Levy. Have ENIC changed? Are they going to go and buy the players that we need, that we can turn up to games against Villarreal and go, easy 3 points, without being arrogant? Do you know what I mean? That we can turn up and go, cool, we're superior to this team. At the moment, we're not.
You know what? I'm going to take it one level down from that. I would like to turn up to a team and then go, tricky game here. You got Kudos and Adiemi. Oh, what are we going to do here? How do we not how do Tottenham win it? How do we stop Tottenham from winning it? Almost, if that makes sense. Because it's not even about winning and bits and pieces for me. It's more about we need to be feared again. No one fears us. If I'm another coach, I go, right, 2 of you on Kudos, say Xavi's in the 10, CDM sit on Xavi, centre back, step in and help him when you need to. I don't see how Tottenham beat them unless it's a set piece or a Porro cross to a centre back. That is, as a Spurs fan, if it's not a set piece, a cross, or Kudos or Xavi doing magic, there is no outcome. So I would even say, I don't even care about winning in that. I can't wait for us to just have the squad to go, right, we're going to win this. And they go, how are we going to stop them from winning? What do we have to do to stop them being the better team? And at the moment, I think that answer is very easy. Stop Kudos, Simmons, and it's game over.
No, mate, and absolutely. Do you know what, James? That's a great point you made. Flip it. Let's have the other teams looking at us and going, oh, hang on. Like when we had it before. Oh, stop Son. Okay, we can stop Son. You've got to stop Kane. Oh, hang on. You've got to stop Kane. You've got to stop Eriksen getting on the ball. Stop Eriksen getting on the ball. Someone mark Dele Alli for his late runs into the box. Right now, teams are going, Mark Kudus, and Spurs don't have an out ball. And then people are going, oh, Kudus is greedy. And you're like, well, of course he's greedy. Who's he got to pass to? Of course. If you put Kudus into a team like Arsenal, right, where he's got Saka to get the ball to, or Eze, and then Odegaard, you watch Kudus link up. Brilliant. He can't do that at the moment. He can't do that with this football team because he's giving the ball. He's giving the ball to Richarlison, and that ball never returns. Do you know the other night he got 10 touches?
Yeah, look, you know the group chat I'm in, and people are still sticking up for him. But my answer to that was every single person in that chat criticised Vicario, rightly so. This season for me, he's been below poor. I'm happy to criticise there. But the fact they've got such high expectations on someone like Vicario and then say to me that Richarlison's not rubbish, he did okay. What are you basing the Vicario judgment on? And what are you judging Vicario and Richarlison? There's 2 different standards there, because if you're judging them at the same, surely Vicario is world class if we're going on this Richarlison judge meter. Like, for me, it doesn't make sense. That's why I try to be as honest and fair as possible. I like Vicario. This season he's been shocking for me. He's far better than what he's shown. But you can't be praising people like Richarlison and going, no, he ain't that bad. Like, you know, the thing was 4 goals in 10 games. It's 3. 2 of them come in one game, and the other one was a deflection that was absolutely diabolical. So for me, okay, let's flip that and say, right, well, he's scored in 2 games out of 10. Is that acceptable for your striker when you are creating chances for him? No, it ain't.
Yeah. Look, James, you know my feelings unequivocally on Richarlison. I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. Any team that's got Richarlison up front is never going to be a good team. You're never going to be a good team. You can't be. Yeah. You can't do the basics of football. And
well, you messaged me saying that you think Richarlison might be worse than Veliz and stuff, and I messaged you back saying that you're wrong. Veliz was much better than Richarlison because Veliz would win balls in the air. Richarlison doesn't even win balls in the air. So
I think.
Yeah. What's his one stat? Everyone just goes, he's a pain in the ass. Richarlison actually fell over more times in that game in a week than he touched the ball.
Did you see the first 30 seconds of the game, he's down holding his face. This guy is an embarrassment. But you know why people like him? Because he's a nice guy. Because he does a lot of funny. He's very good on his social media side of things, right? But
yeah,
James,
relatable.
We are sitting here with our 2 strikers, Solanke and Richarlison. It beggars belief in 2025 that that's how far we've dropped, and that fans rate this. Fans look at these 2 strikers and excuse it. These 2 shouldn't be bought at Tottenham. Ever in a million years, these 2 should not be Tottenham footballers. Sorry.
I wouldn't mind Solanke there if they was behind a Harry Kane. I think, right, okay, Harry Kane gets injured for 5 games. Yeah. I think if Harry Kane gets injured for 5 games, you're not going to get, not going to get better, but you're not absolutely toys out of pram. We can't do anything here. Solanke could come in and do a job for 4 or 5 games. Whereas for me, that guy can't be a striker. He can't be a striker. None of them make anything happen.
Do you know what? The goals I saw last night from Rasmus Højlund. Now that's how That's where I'm having to go to now, right? The goals I saw from Rasmus Højlund last night, I was like, oh, wow. Like there's something in you. Like there was something in him. When I watched Napoli this year, I'm watching Højlund and going, hang on, you're not bad. And I think obviously the Man U thing is slightly kills players. But then I watch Richie and go, oh God, you're so bad. Like if you're not going to score goals, hold the ball up. If you're not going to score goals, link up. You don't do any of it.
I said there was a couple of things that were said, and one of the things was said is he only touched the ball 3 times or 4 times in the first half. And I said, okay. He went, that's not his fault. And I said, my comeback was, I don't know if any of these guys have played football before, if any of them have been around football before. I played at a decent level, and they said to me, if you're not getting the ball as a striker or as a right winger, what you need to do is come back and try and get involved, make the game happen, make your own ability come into play. Not you're not getting the ball, just stand there and wait and see what happens. That for me is the first step as any football player. If you're not getting the ball, you don't just stand there and wait. You come and get involved. You try and mix it up. You try and hold the ball up. You try and, even if it's just a little 1-2 at the halfway line to try and get the team forward a bit. You know, it's not, well, he's a striker, he got no service. He's a striker, he stood there with his hands in his pockets. That's basically what he done.
But this is the thing for me. All the people that excuse Richie constantly go, what service has he got? Mate, I'm not even talking about his lack of ability of scoring goals. I'm talking about him in general. Just in general. Football. If you are not scoring goals, be a nuisance. Go and link up. Go and win headers. I'm watching this guy now. He can't even win a header.
Wasn't it Firmino for Liverpool? Dreadful at scoring goals. Unbelievable at getting involved and linking up and playing football. So it's not all the be all and end all. Whereas I feel like people, like we said, people have got these excuses. Yeah, but he played left wing. Yeah, but he's not fully fit for half those games. Well, let me tell you, not fully fit Richarlison is better than fully fit Richarlison. So let's have that guy back.
I think you're in. I'm not going to mention that. I think you're in the WhatsApp group that I'm talking about, where some of those lads absolutely love Richarlison. You might not be in it. I'm not in it now, but
I am. Yeah.
Right. And I'm watching. There is every single excuse under the sun for Richarlison at the age of 28. He's never been fit. Well, he's been fit for the last 10 games he's played for Spurs, and he looks absolute toilet. Like he looks.
There's a new one. Is he can only play 1 game a week.
Well, what are we doing? Like what? Look, at the end of the day, I feel sorry if people look at players like Richarlison, right, and rate him. I'm going to say it right now. They don't know a good footballer. If that's their level of rating footballers, I would never, ever, ever want to take their word for anything. You can't. I've heard, oh, well, you saw it but there's been seasons where he's had to play on the left. Oh, but there's been seasons when he's injured. Oh, but it's the players around him. He's 28. He's 28 now. You're telling me he's had excuses for a decade. It's
all the things that they say, I actually think is wrong because he's better. In my opinion, he's a better left winger than he is a striker, personally. And that is a massive, judgment of, he's fantastic. He's just a better left winger than he is a striker.
I think he's a better spectator than he is a footballer.
Yeah, I think he should become an influencer. He's good at social media.
I don't want him on my left wing. When people go, oh, when Solanke comes back, let's put him left. I'm like, great. So we're just going to have all the falling over and the lack of control on the left instead of up front. I just can't.
The only thing I don't get is like, a lot of people say, oh, he's shithousery and blah, blah, blah. Mate, he just dives, like I said, he dives around so much. He makes it easy. I went to the Bournemouth game, and honestly, him and Johnson just stood still. The centre backs, it was so easy. He didn't even make a nuisance. So they say, oh, he's good at being a nuisance. He's not. He don't do anything to become a nuisance. Diving around isn't becoming a nuisance. He's just a crap player.
Oh, it's so funny. Like even like that guy I just put up there. I love this. This is the second time he's told me he just needs confidence. I've watched this guy for 4 years at Spurs. He needs ability, not confidence. He needs ability. But you know what will happen? He might score like a diving header against Leeds on Saturday, and people go, "Oh, Richie."
He's good in the air, isn't he?
Down here.
That's what they'll say. He's told you he's good in the air. That's what they'll say. He'll score an header. I told you he was good in the air. We're like, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
just
But it's the same
hard
as
work.
what we said with. It's the same as what we said with Kudos, mate. People don't judge it, but then when they actually come in and see a proper football player, they go, "Oh, yeah, Odebert's not very good, is he?" When you're comparing him to Kudos, it's crazy.
But by the way, we looked at this the other day, my friend. We looked at this the other day. I think in his career, it's something like 1 every 3.9. So it's essentially he's a 1 in 4 goal scorer. When you add that over a season, so what's that?
Being generous is 10. Yeah, 10 goals a season.
Right. So being generous is 9 to 10 goals a season, right? In his career. Now that's fine.
And to put that in perspective, Harry Kane's already got 20 this season. Not comparing the difference, but the guy we used to have has already got 20 GA. Richarlison's got 4. There's levels. That is for me is what people say when people say, I never wanted Kane to go, but if they let Kane go and sign an Adeyemi or a Haaland at that point or whoever, you get it. But to let Harry Kane go and sign Richarlison is just suicide.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. Look, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to read out a couple of super chats, and then I'm going to send everyone over. I'm joining Never a Foul this morning, like I do every Thursday. Big up to Emma. Hope you are well, Emma. You're on holiday. Enjoy your holiday out there in Spain, my friend. Enjoy your holiday. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you, Emma. That really is. I like it. We get some people who are generous and other people that just want to troll. And big up to Cat Fun. Always very, very generous. Said, I'm patiently demanding loads of goals. Listen, I would love Spurs to score loads and loads of goals. I'm just looking at the forward line and going, I genuinely don't see where we score loads. I don't think this is going to be a year where we have many 4s or 5s in games. I just don't see the goals. And then you've got fans that think Richarlison just needs confidence, but big up to you. I really appreciate that, Toby. Thank you very much, my man. You're very, very generous. James, thanks for joining. Really appreciate your insights as always. Much love. Take care. I'm going to send everyone over to Never a Foul. Join me there. When you get there, just say Savva. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.